What's happened is I interviewed a couple of concrete companies and they would not bring their trucks. They would bring them up the driveway, but they said that they were unable to back down the driveway safely because of its curves and its rocks. And there was no safe place to actually turn a concrete truck around up here. Hey, it's Kurt Curtis. Welcome to the Full Octane Garage, and today's topic is going to be building on a hill. And building on a hill has been quite a challenge. You know, the fantastic thing is the views are awesome. You can see for miles. We actually have about a 10-mile view way into the distance over there. And that's really cool. What's not really cool is that driveway. What's happened is I interviewed a couple of concrete companies and they would not bring their trucks. They would bring them up the driveway, but they said that they were unable to back down the driveway safely because of its curves and its rocks. And there was no safe place to actually turn a concrete truck around up here. So our initial plan was to get a concrete truck to come up the driveway and stop about right here at the T. And then we would actually have a pumper truck or a pump trailer that would actually pump concrete up to the barn. So then what we did was we had to go to plan B. Plan B was to really focus and look at some Georgia buggies. Maybe the Georgia buggies would have worked fine, maybe not. We think that it would have taken about 6 or 8 of them because they only handle about 1 yard or 2 yards at a shot. And we really would have struggled getting them up the hill without them overheating, pouring 80 yards. So that's an awful lot of concrete. So my concrete contractor, he did find these, identified these devices that we needed, which were these front dumping machines. And they were really cool. They handle about 3 to 4 yards, the ones that he showed me. But we looked at all the major rental companies around town and they just didn't have any. I finally resorted to a big commercial company, which is Thompson Machine. They handle Caterpillar devices, and these WD-60s, I think is what they are. They were fantastic. They had 2 of them, and that's exactly what we wanted to have. We wanted to have 2 in case one broke down, we'd have a backup, but also we could shuttle the concrete a lot faster so we wouldn't have any dry seams in the 80 yards that we were pouring in our smooth floor barn. So then came the challenge of getting insurance. Our contractor did not have the proper insurance for them. So I spent about a month getting him the proper insurance. Cost about $800 for 3 months. I was able to find a place that would actually let us do it for only 3 months and not have to buy a whole year's worth, and that was really the challenge. So the whole project took a lot longer getting concrete up to the barn than we had anticipated. I think at the end of the day it's going to be really worth it because the views are just going to be unbelievable once we get this thing all built out. We have a neighbor building a house down there. We're in a nice valley with some fantastic views out into the distance. This is kind of an overcast day. We have a nice balcony up here off the front of our house. It's kind of a chalet style house, and into the distance you can see miles and the hills off into the distance. We think this is going to be a fantastic solution. It was actually a fantastic solution getting the concrete up. You know, we asked a lot of people about how we're going to get concrete up the hill, and this was by far the best solution we could come up with because the pumpers seem to only have about a 500-foot maximum pumping range, and our driveway is about 800 feet all the way up to the barn, and it's all uphill, which is really going to be kind of a bad situation. So let's get to the video and show you a little bit about how we actually use these machines and got the concrete up the hill. So when we first started our project, we thought we'd be using about 80 yards of concrete to do the barn and the driveway, and that's about 8 full trucks of concrete. And it turns out that we ended up using about 14 and a half trucks, a little over 140 yards. What we elected to do was we came across a company here in town. Only one company in town rents these, and they're actually a large articulating diesel-powered machine. They weigh about 9,000 pounds. They hold a 4-yard capacity, and they're basically front dumpers. Very similar to a wheel loader, but rather than a wheel loader attachment, it has a dump bed. The dump bed holds 4 yards. Going up the hill, we were capable of doing about 3 yards per trip. And 3 yards of concrete weighs about 12,000 pounds. So you got a 9,000 pound buggy and another 12,000 pounds on top of that. So you're talking a little over 20,000 pounds going up and down this hill each time. What we did at these gates that are opening right now is this is where we staged some plastic on the ground, and the concrete trucks would come up into about where the gate is, and we would ride these wheel loaders down the hill, or these dumpers, and load up the concrete. And then to the right here, we would actually back them into the grass and turn them around and then drive up the hill. Now, these things going uphill with 12,000 pounds of concrete would go about 6 miles an hour. I'm going about 12 miles an hour right now, so think of half the speed going up this hill. And as we got steeper up the hill, it would slow down just a little bit more. So you figure if we got 2 to 3 yards, it still took us 7 to 8 trips of up and down this hill to get a full load of the truck. We don't have to come all the way up this hill. And now where it gets a little dicey is as soon as we crest this hill and turn left, there is a slope on the driveway, which is probably about 7 degrees or so. And I'm guessing 7 degrees, it might be a little bit more. And these wheel loaders, the concrete is very in liquid format, so the concrete, as you can see, we're at an angle. The concrete would slide to the left of this vehicle and make it feel a little bit dicey going up around this corner. So you had to really come up slow around here so that the concrete wouldn't slosh over to the left. And then once we get up a little bit, this levels out. And keep in mind, we did not have the light colored concrete to the right here poured yet, so it was only poured to where the discolored concrete is. The rest of it was just gravel and dirt. So we would have to come up here and take these machines and actually drive them into the barn. And they were 10 feet tall. The barn was 10 feet tall up to the top, so we had to dig the entrance down just a little bit so these machines would clear. And we would come in here and dump the concrete out, and then have to back out and turn the vehicle around and go back down the hill and start all over again. So that was for the whole barn we did that way. That was 80 yards of concrete. 80 yards was day number 1. Then we had day number 2, which was a driveway expansion on this side of the house. You notice the driveway was very narrow on this side, so if I brought a trailer up or tried to turn a trailer around, it was very challenging. So this turned out to be about 30 yards. So this was 3 full trucks on this side, and it was I had to, again, shuttle the concrete up. On this side, we only used one of the buggies for the day, and that got us done for this side. Now, for day number 3, we had 3 days of concrete pour on this stuff, and we did use 2 full machines, and the 2 full machines came up here, and we did about 40 to 45 yards of concrete on this side. And the one thing that you'll see in some of these videos was this is all being poured on a hill. We have to also make sure that the concrete is at a thick enough consistency that when we dump it out of the dumper, that it's not just going to roll down the hill. But it did do some of that. It did roll downhill into the tires, so we were constantly having to pressure wash the tires on the loaders so that we wouldn't track fresh concrete up and down the driveway. So it was quite a challenge to get all this done. The loaders cost about $2,700 for the week, which was really pretty cheap. You think about $2,700 for 2 loaders for the full week. I had to supply the fuel, and we would actually get them up here, do all of our work. Then came the task of having to pressure wash these things and get them cleaned up. We did spray diesel fuel on the machines the second day because it was so hard to get the concrete off the first day. We sprayed diesel fuel as a release agent so that the concrete would not bond to the machine as much as it normally would dry. We had to provide a clean machine back to these guys, and it was certainly a challenge cleaning the machines afterwards. I did get prices for pumpers. If I could have pumped, and if the concrete could have come up the driveway, at least to the top of my driveway, then I could have gotten a pumper for about $3,500 per day. So that turned out to be an issue also. There was really no other way to do this, barring helicoptering the concrete in, and that would have been astronomically expensive. So I talked to a lot of contractors. I talked to a number of rental places, and Thompson Machine was the only people in Nashville that had these wheel loaders. They are not a very common machine. They are worth about $80,000, $85,000 a piece new. So Thompson Machine allowed us to get the machines. We brought them up. We did all of the work. We did it all over 3 days, 3-day period. So what we did afterwards is we called Thompson Machine to come pick up the devices because we had them delivered. Now what happened is that when they came to pick them up, one of the machines wouldn't start. It had power, everything was good, but it seemed as though a safety switch or something, like where you had to have it in park or you had to hit the brake, was stopping it from igniting the actual starter. So they had to send somebody out to get it fixed. Now, what I was very thankful of is that this didn't happen when I had 10 loads of concrete showing up on a very hot day. So fortunately the machines worked. I really don't know what the outcome was fixing it. I came down the hill, the machines were gone. So Thompson Machine figured out what was wrong with them. So thanks for being with us at the Full Octane Garage. If you like our videos, come back and see us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. And we are going to have a whole lot more videos on the making of the new Full Octane Lodge. So come back often and check us out. Oh, wait, I almost forgot. Our legal team made me promise to display this disclaimer before we ended the video. Please take a moment to read it before you make any buying decisions.